Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Shintaro Higashi show with Peter Yu. Today we're going to talk about kata. I know this is like a crazy topic. People talk about this stuff all the time. Like, is kata useful? And especially in judo, we have Nagano kata, right?
Right.
A lot of people don't know, right? The white belts, yellow belts don't know about this.
That's that's the most popular one, I guess. It's all.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what a kata is first. What is a kata?
That's it just literally almost means shape, right?
Right.
And, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it means. And it's sort of like this choreographed movement, usually done solo. A lot of times in like karate and aikido and Japanese jiu-jitsu and all these different forms of martial art, there's a self-training component where you're sort of going through choreographed moves, and then white belts have a certain kata, yellow belts have a certain kata, and then it just kind of goes on. Karate is like really known for this.
Right. I did one of those. I did those when I took Taekwondo in Korea. So Taekwondo is another big one that, each belt has a certain kata to learn and right.
Yeah.
And you said solo, but judo katas are a little different in that regard, right?
Yeah, judo's a two-person kata.
Right.
Right, and it's choreographed.
Right. So
it's absolutely cooperative.
Right. You need to have a person who does the move, tori, and who receives the move, uke.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's a kata. So what is a nage no kata?
So nage no kata is the throwing kata. Let's talk a little bit more about kata, right? Is it useful?
Okay.
That's the number one question that you get, right?
Right.
You go into a karate school, you go into any sort of school, is it useful? And people have this thing like, oh, if you're just doing kata, you're not going to get good at anything. And it's somewhat true, right? You can't just train kata and be a good fighter or good, sport karate person. If your goal is to spar and punch someone in the face, doing kata is not really going to help you, right? Mm-hmm. But there are merits there. And I want to start with that solo stuff and then move into nage no kata because I think it really connects really well.
Right? Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
So being able to make the shapes of the technique is important.
Right.
And when you're actually fighting someone, do the punches look like a chambered punch in a kata? No, it doesn't.
I see. Right.
But the same argument for nage no kata. A lot of these techniques that you see, like ippon seinage and nage no kata, it really ever looks like that. No one attacks you like this. Straight over the top. Right. And it never looks that clean because a lot of the times you drop or you take a split stance or you have different ways to finish, right? Finishing mechanics are different.
Right.
So is there really a benefit for this is the question.
Yeah. Like the emphasis in the kata is that even the person who is receiving the throw or the technique has to actually go through with the receiving part. Like you have to kind of throw yourself over that the other person.
The thing about it is people just look at the actual technique, right?
Right.
But there's a lot to be learned in kata. There's so much embedded in there. Like for the uke, how to take a fall, right? How to understand how to embrace the break fall. Right. So when you're learning the kata, you learn how to relax your body, take the break fall, embrace it, not only to the right side, but to the left side.
Right.
Both equally. And understanding the concepts and mechanics of kazushi.
Right.
Off balance.
So then why have kata when we do uchikomis or nagekomis?
Yeah.
Like what's the difference there? What does kata offer that's different from uchikomis?
Kata's very structured, right? Kata's like, if you look at the nage no kata, first you have the hand techniques, right? Then you have this set of techniques, then you have that technique. It follows a structured progression. Everything is choreographed from A to Z. Right. And you just follow through it. Right. And of course, you could pick the first one. You could pick the sixth one. You could pick to do uchimata. You could pick to do the foot sweep. Right. But uchikomi is a little bit more improvisational.
Right.
You could go in there and say, I'm working on taio. I'm going to do taio. I don't do ippon seinage. So not do ippon seinage for uchikomi.
Right.
During uchikomi time, you could do combinations. Right. You could ask your partner to say, hey, can you stand lefty and do a misdirection taniatoshi? You could drill these things. Nagekomi also.
Right. So
it's different in that sense.
So it's like a gradient of improvisationality, I guess. Like kata on the one end, uchikomi, and then randori on the other end, and maybe competition on the extreme end.
Yep. And of course, you could argue like, okay, these are the techniques, these are what it should look like, and then you could sort of put your own interpretation on the kata as well, right? For instance, like a musician.
Right.
And musicians can do that. They get a very complex piece of work, read it and be like, okay, I'm going to hold this for that, or I'm going to
That's an
Right?
interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah, there's levels where you can sort of improvise, but it's very limited within the confines of the rules, right? You can't hold a quarter note for too long or too short if it says hold it for this long, right?
Right. It'll
Because it has
change the
the
piece.
measurements and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, it'll change the piece. But within the rules of that, you could still sort of be a little bit flexible.
Oh, that's a very
Yeah, there is a lot to kata,
right.
right? But the problem is people criticize it in the wrong way because they're not
Right.
asking the right questions. If you're asking the question, hey, is kata going to help me be a better grappler and throw someone on their head? The answer to that, not that much, right?
Right.
Will it help more than you sitting on the couch and watching TV eating Cheetos? Yes, it will. Will it help more than doing some other martial art that has nothing to do with grappling? Yes, it will, right? But like to what extent?
Right. I
You
guess
get
that's
more out of the practice if you do Chikomi in a mindful way, if you do deliberate training, if you have good instruction, you do hard Nagekomi, hard Randori, right? Or maybe even soft Randori, right? Based on where you are in the training cycle,
right.
And do a little bit of kata.
Right. So
Yeah.
I guess a lot of you're saying a lot of the criticisms are misdirected in a way.
Yeah, it's misdirected.
They don't
Because
really.
it's like, how
yeah.
can anything choreographed be useful?
Right.
It's like drilling is choreographed.
Right.
It's just kind of a form of kata, right? It just doesn't have that.
Right. The structure.
Yeah. And Nage no kata, it sounds like kata, but then when people hear that word kata, right, it's actually kata.
Kata,
They associate it with, kids doing upper blocks and middle punches and stuff.
Right.
And it's a great teaching tool because first of all, it's safe. Kids don't get hurt doing it.
Right.
No one ever gets hurt doing kata.
Right.
Right.
I think in judo maybe because it's 2-person thing if you're not
It can be
practice. Yeah.
And I know schools that teach kata right off the bat.
Right.
I know in my school we teach it as a means to get the black belt.
I see. Right.
So you spent an intense, maybe a 1 month period where you're doing it every day, just a little bit. At the end of practice, doing it 10 minutes. At the end of practice, doing it 10 minutes. And then doing the kata for the black belt test, which
Right.
is not done by me, but by the Hudson Judo organization.
Right.
You know this.
Yeah. Yeah. I went through that.
So like I do a 1 month intensive sort of a thing. Like, oh, you qualified, you earned your points, you competed, you won, you earned the right to get your black belt. And, in our dojo, we don't just give out black belts. We do it through the Hudson Judo organization.
Right.
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 And then so it's like they require kata. So, okay, now let me teach you kata.
Right. So
You know what I mean?
so kata, it's also serves as a tool to kind of maybe prove that you know the basic stuff, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just got to memorize it and do it, right?
Yeah.
You
right.
know, and you could teach just the white belts too, white belts, yellow belts, and some people do.
Right.
And sometimes I'll teach a couple pieces of it just to make, break things up.
Right.
Especially like, oh man, everyone in the room is beat up and exhausted. Let me give 10 minutes to this thing.
I see.
First 3, right?
Or
Toshi, Ponsei, Nagi, Kataguruma.
yeah, you had me like demonstrate when people are like
Yeah.
tired, and also another interesting thing is even though you've described katas as a training method,
Yeah.
people do compete in those. Like there
Yeah,
are
they do.
kata competitions, and I think that's where the improvisationality kind of comes in, like the different
Definitely, yeah.
interpretations.
Yeah.
There are a lot of videos. I know, like where Kosei did it with his brother, and then he
Yeah.
had a different flavor from like the standard
Yep.
Kodokan stuff that they have on YouTube. So, what do you think about the competition, kata competition?
It's great. I think there needs to be a component. I've been talking about this forever.
Right.
That there needs to be some more collaborative thing. Like you take a taekwondo competition,
Right.
you get like 3,000 kids in there, right? And then every kid goes home with a medal. Like they're not all sparring. That's a very, very small percentage of people who are actually sparring.
Right.
Judo needs that too. Because a kid joins the dojo and they're like, hey, I like judo now. I'm going to do it twice a week. They go to the tournament, they get smashed, they quit.
Right.
They need an avenue before that, right? They need that progressive step. For me, at the dojo, we don't even let the kids do randori like full throttle. If they're below a certain age,
Right.
I hold both of their collars.
Yeah.
So that no one gets ever smashed. If they run into each other, I can pull them apart.
Right.
If one kid is about to slam the other kid a soto, I could catch him on the way down. And people argue like, oh, you're not really, kids need to get slammed or like kids need to this or they're not really learning how to break fall. I disagree because they feel safe with me spotting them in there. They're likely to go for more risks, like Osotogari, more Osotos. If you're scared of getting countered Osoto, you're not going to go for it as a kid,
right?
And then the parents are over there, the sensei's walking around. When I'm holding the kids up, I'm like right there, right? I'm like right there holding these kids, and this kid gets bombed Osoto. I catch him. He doesn't get hurt. He gets right back. I was like, oh, hey, you go for Osoto now. You try to counter it.
Right.
And there's no fear because he's not going to get hurt.
It's like
there's that intermediary step.
Right.
And now, of course, they're a little bit older. They're a little bit better. Now they're doing Randori. Kids slamming each other, throwing each other, but they've been doing it for 4 years. They can land safely. They're good.
Right.
I put them in a tournament. I have no clue what to expect. You get a Russian kid that's doing judo 6 times a week. Dad comes home and he's like, son, put on your gi, right? And that kid's going to be tough. That kid's almost always going to beat the twice a week kid.
Right.
Right? It's just like trained versus untrained.
Right.
Not trained, but it's like a spectrum, right? So there needs to be an intermediary step because you might go into your first competition, see that kid, and get bombed. Never come back to judo again. So there needs to be a competitive area where you can do some sort of cooperative thing.
Right.
And I think Kata kind of fits into that. But it doesn't have to be the Nagano Kata. This is the thing. It can be like, show me 5 techniques. Go. And yes, it's subjective. Yes, it's not full throttle Randori. And people are going to argue like, no, if you can't do Randori in a competition, you don't belong in the sport. I completely disagree with that.
Yeah, it's not for everyone,
No, it's not for everyone. And even for the kids that might have stuck it through if they didn't have that experience, who would have been good, who would have been champions, who would have been senseis, who would have taught a lot of judo in the future, who would have loved it, who would have changed their life. That one time that they get bombed on their head, they quit. You never know with these things because you can get put up against a kid that's 3 years older, 40 pounds heavier. That happens at these tournaments.
Right.
Oh, there's no one who's a beginner. Are you willing to put your kid into a division with green belts?
Oh, man.
Like, my son's a white belt, though. Yeah. It's like, yeah, but the other kid's not that good. And the coach comes over and he's like, my green belt, he's not really a green belt. He's only been doing it for a year. It's all nonsense, right? All of it is nonsense. And that kid who already loves judo, he's there, right? And he's not like the other kid who's being forced to do judo by the dad, right? That you're going to lose that kid.
Because it's trauma. It's traumatizing.
Yeah, trauma. It's not right. It's wrong. You know what I mean? I'm a very big believer in this. And this is the thing. I'm a product of that too.
Right? You're that Japanese kid who did 6 times a week, right?
Not even, but still, it was just like, I know those traumas. You know what I mean? The East Coast Championships.
You've been on the other side too.
Dude, it's like 8 to 10-year-old division, 11 to 12, 10 to 12 or something like that. It's like 7 to 9, 10 to 12. I'm like 9 years old, 8 years old. I fight in my division. My dad's like, hey, man, you're going to fight in the next division up, the age bracket above. And I was already a chubby kid. So you're not fighting like other kids that are a little bit older your size. I'm fighting unlimited because I was always a chunky kid. Right? So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm 8 years old, 9 years old. I'm fighting 11, 12-year-olds that are 40 pounds heavier than me.
Right.
Like how, you know what I mean? And it's like, I survived it.
Yeah. I mean,
but a lot of that is luck too, right? I mean, you might not have broken a leg. All the people I teach judo to now would have never learned judo.
Yeah. And,
at that age, getting like a programming degree in
I know, maybe. At that age, like the physical difference between 9-year-olds and 12-year-olds it's too big.
So there needs to be an avenue for that, right? And the answer is not, let's standardize judo into a kata situation. No, let's just make all the kids compete in Nagano Kata. No, somewhere in between, right?
Right.
Some kind of choreographed movement.
That reminded me
of... That is kata.
That reminds me of this thing when I was taking Taekwondo in Korea as a kid. Yeah. My dojo did this like little intra dojo competition where kids form a group and then they make up their own katas.
Yeah, I like that.
And then kids loved it because there's some creativity involved.
It's creative. Yeah. Just rote memorizing movements and doing them over and over. It's not fun for anybody, most people. But it is fun for people who want to be in judo or karate or whatever martial art, and then saying that they're doing it and not having the risk of getting their head kicked off or taken down, dragged to the floor, and choked, right?
Right.
So it's like, oh, I'm doing martial arts, right? But I always stress, like, there needs to be a combative element. There needs to be a non-cooperative drill, right? Where two people have conflicting goals. There needs to be that. And then the avenue to sort of get there is the choreographed movements, is uchikomi, is drilling, is all these things. But if you spend too much time doing that, right?
It's like you're kind of ignoring the other side.
Yeah,
of judo.
yeah. So it's got to be sort of a balance of both.
Right.
And that's always the thing. And I've always hated it when, like, you go in expecting to throw down, and then it's like, all right, we're going to do kata today for 40 minutes. And you're like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's not fun.
You know what I mean? Like, I've been in rooms like that, not
Yeah.
my dojo, but like other places, even my dojo
Right.
too, sometimes, like back in the day, like, you know, you have 4 people learning the thing. It's like, all right, we're all going to do it. And you're like, oh my God, you know, it's like kind of like,
Yeah.
right? But, you know, there's a lot of history to Nage no Kata too.
Right.
And there's a lot of layers to this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Everything is 3 movements. And the deeper you go into the kata, there's improving position while you're moving, right? People don't see that. It's like 1, 2, throw on 3. It's simple. It's done. Right? Yes, but not really. 1, 50-50, kataguruma. Let's look at it, right?
Right.
2, inside control.
Right.
3, off balance, make the shape of the throw,
Yeah.
finishing mechanics,
Right. Right.
keeping your balance.
Because it just emphasizes each step like very in a distinct step. It tells you these is
Very distinct.
yeah these are what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So having said that, okay, so you're a big proponent of this kata as a competition tool, even not just as a
Not
learning
huge. It
Oh, you're
can't
not-
be, and you know, people make this argument like, oh, we're going to water it down and now
Right.
judo is going to be 95% kata and no one's going to be doing. I'm not advocating for that.
Right.
There needs to be a white belt division
Yeah.
where they show their best Osoto, they show their best Taio, they do some sort of choreographed movement, get a medal and go home.
Right.
What percentage of your dojo competes? I always ask this to the senseis. I'm kind of like, you know, a crazy person when it comes to this, and I'm ranting about this at these judo meetings and judo tournaments. And a lot of the other senseis are like, man, you know, we've done it for a long time. Like, I competed, you competed, you know, if you can't do it, you know, hard, right? It's like, and I'm like, listen, man, think about what percentage of your dojo competes.
Right.
Usually the
Very
answer is
small.
10%, 5%. Never more.
Yeah. I
And then
also
you're
say
in that
10% is
school.
even high.
Even high.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, you created this hierarchy: first-class citizen,
Right.
second-class citizen, people who compete, people who don't compete.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, you're obligated to go through this thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
So-
then a lot of times you bring 10 kids to a tournament. How many of them quit immediately after that?
Right.
Make it a good experience. Let them have a choreographed piece.
So
You know
how
what I mean? Now all of a sudden, you could take 100% of your students, right? Not all
yeah.
of them. But like now all of a sudden, there's a place for a white belt to do some sort of competition.
Right.
There's a place for your yellow belt to do some sort of competition. There's a kid who's too shy to do randori. Like there's a place for that kid to compete, overcome, and then tell people that he does judo and I got a medal.
I mean,
Right?
yeah, just going to the to a competition is
Dude, if
the
you can do
nerve-wracking
this
thing.
and structure that, and if you have 50% of your judo dojo competing at these tournaments and retention goes higher because no one really gets injured,
Right.
Now all of a sudden, the organizations are making a lot more money.
But why? Okay, so and then you clearly have said this too in these meetings. So what's the it? But I have never seen it. Why is it really not happening right now?
I mean, no one wants to take that first step and then do the
Right.
first tournament where there's like a white belt division, show your best 3 throws. You know what I mean?
Right.
No one wants to do that because then, you know, they're, you know, a little bit like, oh man, everyone's going to kind of like look at me funny and make fun of me and all this stuff. And, you know, tournament directors don't want to do that. They don't want to take that risk.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it is a very closed circuit of people who have been doing things a certain way.
Right.
Even when I advocate for like, you should hold 2 kids by the collar and let them do randori there, people are like, oh, that's dumb. It causes soft kids, weak kids. You know, I have people even criticizing me for pulling out crash mats to do throws. You should just do nagekomi on the tatami. The tatami floor is already padding on the mat. And like this,
Let me tell you,
know.
it still sucks.
yeah, it still hurts. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it
it's
still
like,
hurts.
you know, there needs to be a better way, right?
Right.
There is a better way. You know, and I advocate for it, but I think a lot more people need to be on board with this in order for
Right.
it to sort of catch on, right?
I see.
So if you're listening to this podcast and you're a dojo owner,
Yeah, maybe there you'll start a movement.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? I've always advocated too. It's like from the coach's standpoint, what incentivizes me to bring these kids to the tournament? Very little.
Right.
Right? I'm going to round up 10 kids, right? And ask their families to burn an entire Saturday.
Right.
Half of them will probably get hurt or quit.
Yeah.
Like, what is the merits there? So 1 or 2 kids on my squad can feel really good about themselves. So now there's a hierarchy within the dojo of first class and second. Like, what is the draw? I don't understand it. I don't want to kill Saturday.
Right.
So I always say, like, hey, man, why don't you, do we really need an entire mat area? The same for an adult, same for a 5-year-old. A 5-year-old is a fourth of the size of a 200-pound man. Like, do they really need the same competition space? Do it like they do in France. Do it like they do in Japan. You could have 15 mats going on for a kids tournament, be in and out in 2 hours.
Right.
Right? I could go to the tournament, take 20 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Right? 20 mats going at once, like little mat areas. They're 5, 6, 8, 9, 11 years old or something, right? Just do a junior tournament, in and out, by noon. I could go home, have lunch with my kid, take it to the park, go get a cup of coffee, go see a movie, and have dinner with my... Like, I could do that.
So
I will go to that every weekend.
And
I would do that every weekend. All right, we're not having class Saturday morning. We're just going to do this thing. We're going to be out by noon. I guarantee it. Parents love it. Oh, that's great. We're just going to go. It's the same thing as a Saturday morning soccer program, right? Oh, my kid has a soccer game at 8 a.m. We go. We get pizza. It's going to be a great day. Yeah, my kid has a judo tournament. We're going to be there all day. All day. My kid might get hurt. Like, people screaming their heads off, right? Like, I don't know what kind of kid he's going to draw.
Right.
Everything about it is bad. The experience is bad. Period. I don't like it. Nobody likes it. Who likes that?
That's another thing. Like,
I don't like it.
The biggest reason I haven't brought my wife to a judo tournament is because it's gonna burn the whole day.
Burn the whole day.
And if you bring kata into this kids tournament or even a novice tournament, you can even do more parallel demonstrations and then just
think about it. Think about it. Okay, think about this, right?
Okay.
You have 2 kids showing their favorite 3 moves, 5 moves, whatever. Right? How much space does that take?
How much time does it take? Not a lot.
Not a lot. And you know what? How many of those can go on at the same time? 30? 40?
We can pack a lot.
You can pack it in an entire gym.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's all. Have a black belt sit there and judge it. You can't judge your own kid. Done.
Yeah.
Boom. 6. Boom. 7. Boom. 0. Whatever. Right? Hey, great job. Like Johnny, medal. You get 40 kids on at the same time.
I'll volunteer for that.
Dude, each unit is done in a matter of minutes. How many can you get in there in 1 hour?
I wonder if I can, maybe I push for this in Michigan now that I'm here. I don't know. I don't know.
I push for it everywhere. I've pushed for it everywhere. Everyone would listen. I'm saying it blue in the face.
Right.
People just, whatever. You know what I mean?
So kata is not just a teaching tool, not just a, competition tool, but it's also a tool that could help popularize judo even more.
Yeah, man. Dude, if you look at the Gokyo, right?
Right.
I have to look up Gokyo again.
I don't remember it either.
Let's see. Gokyo judo throws, right? Judo throws. I should probably know this, right? But I just don't want to misspeak and be like, first kyo, tayo. And people are like, what? Yeah. All right. Gokyo. 5 sets of throws. It's structured. It's already been done.
Right.
First group. First one.
I don't even know.
5 different sets. First set. Dayashi, Hizaguruma, Sasai, Ukigoshi, Osonogari, Ogoshi, Ouchigari, Seinagi.
Dude, that's you can have a competition just for that.
Show me the first set.
Yeah.
Okay, Dayashi, Hizaguruma, Sasai, Ukigoshi, boom. All right, good job. Who's getting hurt there? Nobody.
Right.
So is there a place for that? Yes, there is. There has to be, man. There has to be an intermediary step between throwing down in the dojo, throwing them into the wolf den, and then letting these guys just you're fighting over a piece of meat like in the wild.
It gets pretty crazy over there. Yeah, intermediary step.
And I think that's where the merits of kata is. You know, like it is kata, right?
Right.
Gokyo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sets of throws.
Right.
Right? Oh, let me just teach the second one. Third set. Fourth set. Fifth set. You know? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 techniques in each. I had to like look it up.
Yeah,
8 techniques
I don't know
each.
either. Yeah.
8 times 5, that's 40. 40
that's
techniques.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no one's gonna do the whole thing, right? I'm not advocating for a long kata. And I'm not even advocating for Nagano kata doing the whole thing.
Right.
You know, because it takes a lot of Nagano kata takes a lot of space.
Time.
You have to think about scaling in mind when you're running these things.
Right.
You know what I mean? But there's definitely a place for kata.
You think?
I'm a believer of it. Yeah. But I'm not in a way, I have to be clear, not in a way where you're dedicating 30 minutes every practice doing it.
Right.
I think that's a waste of time.
Right.
You know? But if you have an older dojo, right? Everyone in the dojo a little bit older, they're 45, a lot of them have knee injuries, back injuries, and then they want to focus on kata. God bless you. You should focus on kata.
Right.
Right? So I'm not criticizing any dojos out there that are doing a lot more kata than not. And it depends by age of instructor too. I'm 36 right now, and I could roll and throw down with my students, and people are my age in the dojo.
Right.
You know what I mean? But as I get older, maybe I'm 60, I have 2 hip replacements or something like that, and am I able to do the things that I'm doing now? No. Then maybe I'll just teach kata forever. You know what I mean? Who knows, right? You never know. So you can't really criticize, but you have to look at the whole picture.
Right. Did your father go through that transition?
Yeah, little by little. The older he got, the less risk averse you get, because getting sued is a real thing, right? In judo, and the more stress you carry on, how many disastrous leg injuries can you see, over the course of 30 years of teaching Tani Atoshi?
Oh gosh.
Until you're like, man, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes people break a leg and it ruins their life. They can't overcome it. They can't come back from it. They put a metal rod in the leg and now they just can't function. You know? Some people get a little bit of a tweak of the knee. Just like a little tweak. You know what I mean? And now they're like, oh man, my knee hurts forever. Like I'm injured forever. Like, oh my God. Like some people have that mindset. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, you get better and better at like talking to those people, not filtering them out. Right? But like making sure that they have a place in the dojo too. It's such a combat heavy sport. And if you get people who are not designed for that, you're going to have people that are getting banged up. Do kata, man. Just do kata. That's fine. They don't have to feel like a second class citizen because they don't do randori, they don't do competitions. That's okay. Right. I think you should have a whole full spectrum of this stuff.
Right. Everyone should be able to enjoy judo.
Should be.
Yeah.
But that's just not how it is.
Right.
That's not how it's structured. So, yeah, it's one of those things, man. Kata gets a lot of criticism, a lot of heat from the schools that have the martial arts, especially that have, right? But if you look at it in a way like boxing even, what the hell is karate kata anyway? It's like when you're shadow boxing, it is like kata.
Right. All the boxing workout classes, they're massively popular.
Man, if you go, like I used to go to Mendez Boxing in the city, like what percentage of people actually spar in the gym? I remember I asked that to like one of the people in there, and they were like, probably like, 5% of the people spar. It's like, wait a minute, 95% of the people come in, just do jumping jacks, just do shadow boxing, hit the pads. Like that's most gyms that do striking. Right. Because you can't have everybody who's like, oh man, I want to get in shape. Like, oh, okay, I work in an office. Like, I'm going to go in and get punched in the face. Like, walk into meetings with a black eye. It just doesn't fare well in a white collar world, right? Especially if you're in New York City or something. Yeah. Maybe if you're a cop, like, okay, fine, right? But if you're like working in an office environment, come in with a black eye, or like, hey, you're expected to be on your mental game, coming in a little bit like cloudy because you're punch drunk, like that's not okay. Not okay. Yeah, and the more people who are exposed to that, the more people are going to get injured. and the more likely you'll get sued. Right. So when you're doing, 90% of the room, 95% of the people who are part of a striking gym and they're like shadow boxing, moving around, like how is that different from doing kata if you're not actually sparring?
Right.
You are doing kata, right? In some sort of way. People just have this specific thing of kata, like kids doing these blocks and punches and going like this. Kai! Right?
My God.
Doing that. I mean, like that,
Right.
is what people think when you think of kata.
Right. You
But
can.
there's so much more there, right? It's shape, it's movement. Nagano kata, we got to go do another one just separate to Nagano kata. I know we plan to do a Nagano kata episode, but
There's
maybe
a
we'll
lot
do like
of
a part one.
Yeah,
There's a lot to
we'll do
cover
another
with
one.
this
Yeah,
stuff, so.
yeah. You can make it more fun too. Like kind of, I've gone to those boxing classes and
Yeah.
it's fun. Like the trainer goes around and like pumps you up and you're like punching and the kata
I'll
can
never
be fun
forget,
too.
man. Like I was doing an Equinox cardio boxing class, and the woman who was teaching it was like a boxer.
Right.
So obviously, no one in the room really boxes.
Right.
Right. Everyone
Right.
says they box. There's like 40 people in there, but I'm like hitting the bag with another lady, right?
Right.
And then so the lady sees it, and she's like, "Oh man!" And then she like comes over, and then like has the little headset on, the music is pumping, and I'm punching the thing, and she's like, "Yeah." Yeah, like she's like pumping me up, giving me high fives, and then she like walks up to me and she's like, come back, like talking, and I'm like, yeah, it feels good, got a sweat in. Everyone's like, you're so good, it felt good, right?
Maybe you should have a separate kata class, like cardio judo class, man.
Maybe, man. I mean, and you know what? All the randori heavy, hardcore judo instructors out there are gonna be like, oh, that's trash, But it's like, what do you guys know? That's messed up. I shouldn't say that. No, but maybe, right?
Yeah,
Maybe there's a place for that, and it felt good. I didn't get punched in the face. No one got hurt. More people do judo, and more people do judo, the better for our sport. Period.
Right. I think boxing probably went through this discussion too. They probably, in the early days, boxing was more of a, the competition sport, martial sport, but then they had to change. They had to
Look at kickboxing.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to think kickboxing, Netherlands, people taking each other's heads off with big, massive arching kicks and K1. I used to think. Now when I hear kickboxing, I see, my ex-girlfriend with the pink gloves, like hitting the thing, telling me like she went to a kickboxing class and she wants to fight me. I'm like, what? Like, have you ever sparred? No. Like, what are you talking about?
And then they always, whenever someone tells me, I hold my hand up and then let them punch, and then they feel good. They're like, oh, and I'll say, oh, wow, so strong. Yeah, you can punch, you can kick.
Yeah. So there's definitely a place for kata.
Yeah. Cool.
Definitely a place. Oh, you want to plug your mother-in-law's hat situation? You can do that.
Well, so my mother-in-law, this is kind of off topic, but she and my sister-in-law started making these flowery hats, bucket hats.
Yeah.
They're really in right now.
Bucket hats are in, man.
Yeah, very in. I've seen them in person, and they look fantastic. And they have a shop on Etsy, JKO Studio, I believe. JKO Studios. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll link it in the thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully she'll get some
Support,
sales.
yeah.
I bought one. I bought a blue tulip hat.
Oh, nice.
And then Peter told me they don't even make them for men.
They have the men's like more tame colors are coming too.
Yep, that's right. You're gonna so if you have wives, girlfriends, a woman in your life that love bucket hat, I'm gonna be rocking my blue tulip hat.
Yeah, let's rock it.
And then
those look good, man. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to plug it.
Yeah, this is not a sponsored thing either. We're just doing it because
out of love. Yeah.
Peter is spamming his buddies. Hey guys, mother-in-law making hats now.
For
all right, I'll buy one.
A must-have for a hot boy summer that's coming.
Hot boy summer, yep.
Yeah.
And then the solid colors are coming too, right, Peter?
That's right. And
very exciting times.
Yeah. All right, Waltz. I think there was a good overview of what kata is and what the purpose is. Anything else to add before we close?
I think we're going to do a little bit more of an extensive Nagano kata one.
Right.
Stay tuned for that. I don't know if that's be popular.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have a little like video rolling. That was one of your ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, because, people ask about that all the time.
Yeah. Right. We'll do that. Yeah.
So thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Peter. Check us out on social media.
Yeah. Thank you. And stay tuned for the next episode.